Good morning, everyone. Good day or good afternoon. This is Dr. Cortez. Lesson now is quantitative methods for IES students. Today is July 9 for our asynchronous lesson. Lesson 2, title Descriptive Statistics. And that is my name. And let's start the recording by presenting to you the learning outcomes of the topic. Pag sinabi natin learning outcomes, ito yung mga goals natin at the end of the lesson. Ito yung kaya yung gawin, guys, mga students. Firstly, organize business data into frequency distributions. Present data using tables, charts, and graph. For managerial interpretation, calculate and interpret measures of central tendency. Use descriptive statistics to summarize business performance data. So the title of the topic for the day is the descriptive statistics, and under the topic, ito na ating mga subtopics: frequency tables, class intervals, bar charts, and pie charts, histograms. So ito yung mga tools na gagamitin natin in doing decision making, deciding for your business. And given the learning outcomes and given the topics, we may now start in our lesson today. But before I start, pwede bang mag-request once again sa hindi pa nakapag-subscribe sa aking channel? Palambing lang if you can click that subscribe button. Thank you. So the first one is I'm going to define, kasi ang title ng ating topic is about descriptive statistics. So it is proper to define first what is descriptive statistics. May two broad categories of statistics: the descriptive and the inferential. So for today, we are talking about the descriptive statistics. Simply means ito yung isang type of statistics methods used to summarize and describe the main features of a data set. The sample given para maintindihan. The four main examples of descriptive statistics are the following: the mean or the average value. Diba? If you want to know the average ng isang data set, o yan yung feature ng isang data. Example, in one class, may 20 students. Yung kanilang mga edad ay iba-iba. Then if you want to know the mean or the average age ng mga estudyante, so yung mean or average value ang ating kinukuha. So that is descriptive stat. And the second one naman, the median. So doon sa mga group of students, meron doong pinakagitna. Example, the age of the students in a room, iba-iba. May age na 16, may 17, 18, 19, 20, hanggang 30. Ano yung pinakagitna na edad? The middle figure, no? The middle value. So that is the median. And meron naman yung mode. In the same example, age of students in a room. So ano yung mode or ano yung pinaka-common na edad? So the ages are 17, may 18, may 19, hanggang 30. Karamihan sa kanila ay anong edad. So pag nakuha mo yung example, among the 30 students in a class, the mode or karamihan sa kanila ang edad ay 21. So that is the most frequent value. And that is the mode. So iba yung median. sa mode. Ang median kasi, gitna. Ang mode, yung pinaka-common na edad or age. Then the last one, although maraming klase ng there are lots of descriptive statistic describing a group. Pero ito yung pinaka-apat na madalas na ginagamit natin. Of course, in addition to this form, meron pang variance. So the last one is the range. The range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. So this is an example, the age of students in a room. Ang pinakabata, sabi natin, 17. Tapos ang pinakamadanda, the eldest is 30 years old. Ang pinakamatanda, ang pinakabata is 17. So just get the difference. So that is 30 minus 17. So the range is 13. So the difference between highest and lowest value in a group, so that is the range. Okay, so let us continue with this one. So introduction to frequency tables. Sa kasing business or isang decision making, it is easy to know, to decide if data are presented in a table, not narrative. Kasi pag narrative, you have lots of paragraph, mahirap basahin. Kaya pag sa mga research, pag meron kang narrative, meron ka rin table. Kasi mas madaling basahin yung summary ng table. So hindi pwedeng puro narrative. The same thing, hindi pwedeng puro table. Kasi pag tables lang naman, ang nandiyan dyan, dapat meron ka interpretation of the table. Kasi tables are numbers, di ba? And you should know what are behind those numbers. Example, ang mode ay 30. So, bakit 30? Bakit maraming 30 ang umatid? So, there should be something narrating yung table. So, the definition of frequency table, a frequency table organizes data points by their occurrence. Yung mga data, example, age, 12 to 14, 15 to 16, 17 to 18, 19 to 20, 21 to 22. Yan ang edad ng mga students sa loob ng isang room. So those are the data. So application to business, marami kang klase ng products na binibenta sa yung store. Example, mga digital products na binibenta mo. Meron kang mga charger, power bank, charging separator, meron kang lapel, meron kang mouse, tapos ilang piraso bawat isa. Example, 20 mouse. Yan. So, yun ang data. So, the names of the gadgets or digital products being sold, yun ang mga data set. Now, if you want to know, gaano kadalas, example, you are selling those products, digital products. So, you want to know if how many times those products were sold. Example, yung mouse na benta 25. Yung power bank was sold 20. Separator na benta 5 times. So, yun ang mga occurrence, no? Occurrence sa mga data set. So, there is the frequency. And of course, meron kang percentage. So, mahirap masahin yung pag-frequency lang. Pag sa frequency, ilang beses nangyari. And there should be percentage. So, ang pinaka-common content of a table sa frequency distribution is the dataset, first column. Second column, the occurrence, ilang beses nangyari. Third column, the percentage. And sometimes, may fourth column, the ranking. Yan ang common contents ng isang table. Now, importance in data analysis ng frequency distribution. Frequency tables simplify complex data into understandable format. So, pag marami kang product na binibenta, and you want to know, pag nagkakwento lang kasi, di ba, tinanong mo yung storekeeper mo, ilan yung na-ibenta ko yung araw na to, nagkwento. Ito, sir, we're able to solve 10 mouse, tapos isang laptop, tapos 5 power bank, iba pang digital products na kwenta, di ba? Now, you want to visualize isang table, isang summary. That is the reason why you are preparing the frequency table, not just the narration. Pag nagkwento kasi, di ba, you are a too busy person, you want the visual. That is the reason why you have the frequency distribution. So basic terminology in table frequency table distribution, the frequency and the occurrence, gaano kadalas nangyayari. The class interval, so yung pagitan, example 12 to 14. Ang pagitan niyan, tatlong items na, 12 to 14. Tapos susunod yan, 15 to 17 sa tatluhan. Tapos 18 to 20, tatluhan yan. That is the interval. Sometimes, pwede nung marami, no? Pag masyadong marami yung mga data, pwedeng limahan. Example, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29. Okay? If you want few groupings, example, gusto mo 5 lang ang grouping. So, yung interval mas mahaba. Minsan 10, no? Example, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. That is the interval. Yung pagitan or the class interval. And of course, the relative frequency. Now, understanding these terms is essential, common. You should know how to create the interval. You should know how to get the frequency. You should know how to get the percentage para malaman, so that you can decide for your business and for effective analysis ng iyong business. Okay, that is the intro for tables distribution. So, ito naman types of frequency tables. So, we have an example about this one. The first one is the univariate frequency table. So, ibig sabihin nito, you are displaying isang variable lang. Example yung age. Age is one variable. So, lagay mo ilan yung may dadagdag ganito. Pero kung pinagsama mo yan, hindi na siya univariate frequency. Sa mga research, pag nag-research ka, isang variable, isang table. Example, first variable, age. So, meron kang table, meron kang frequency. Example, 10 to 15, ilan yung idadagdag dito? 16 to 20. So, isang variable lang. Another variable for research, the gender, di ba? Male, female, the LGBT, the non-binary, di ba? And you write the frequency, ilan yung babae, 20. Ilan yung lalaki, 18. LGBT, may 2. LGBT or non-binary. Ano pa, the civil status, whether it is single, married, widow, widower, separated, divorce, no? Yun ang variable. Tig-isa lang. Isang table, isang variable. Kapag yun naman ay pag-response mo naman ay business. So, common variables, for example, the nature of business, that is one variable. Ilista mo, no? Example, manufacturing ba siya, retail or service. Another variable in a business, the length of operation. Gano'n nakatagal yung negosyo? 1 to 3 years, 4 to 5 years. Another one is the income. The level of income of a business. So, isang table, isang variable. Hindi natin pinagsasama. Because that is the univariate frequency. Now, the second one is the bivariate frequency table. Bivariate tables show the relationship between two variables. If you want to identify potential correlations ng dalawang variables, yun ang ginagawa natin bivariate frequency table. So, pwede natin pagsamahin sa isang table ng dalawang variables. Example, sa pag-demographic data, pagsamahin yung gender tapos age, isang table. Then we plot and we know if there is a relation between age and gender. Or pwede namang pag sa business naman, dalawang variables sa isang table. Example, the first variable is the length of service or length of operation in business. The second variable is the level of income. So if you want to know the relation between level of income and the length of operation, hindi natin malalaman. Kung matagal bang operation, ang level of income ba ay lumalaki. So you want to know the relationship between two variables in a bivariate frequency table. So it is important, no? It is important to know how do you analyze ang dalawang table so that you can decide. Pag meron kasing relation, yung dalawang variable, so those have significance to the owner of the business. Anyway, the third type of frequency, the cumulative frequency table. Cumulative tables aggregate frequencies over intervals. They are useful in understanding data. So to understand these things, I have samples of the three types of frequency table in the next slide. So ito yung ating sample. So this is an example. It is labeled purple at the top, no? The univariate table. Alright. Ito isang variable. The name of the software is the variable. So we have 7 softwares. Software 1 hanggang software 7. Now, if you want to know gaano kabilis nabili yung software, no? So, kita din sa ating frequency table. And it is also given. Saang software ang pinakamarami beses na ibenta? Sinong pinakakonti? If you will look at the frequency table, yan ang ibig sabihin ng second column. Gaano kadalas yung minsan? Gaano kadalas na ibenta? Example, software 1 is 25 times na ibenta. So the highest attack grosser here is the software 6. Ang pinakamaraming best na ibenta, 60 times. Then the least sold na software is software number 3. That is only 10. Now, so the frequency are important kasi nalaman natin dyan gaano kadalas na ibenta. But if you want to know the relationship of one frequency to the whole, to the total. Ang total kasi yan, pag kinuwenta mo na yung lahat, that is 209. 209 times na ibenta yung lahat ng software. Now, if you want to know the relationship of software number 1, for example, sa total, 25 compared to 209, it is useful kung meron kang percentage column sa dulo. Kasi 25 divided by 209, that is 11.96%. So, ibig sabihin yan, 11%. Or rounded off, 12%. Yung kanyang share sa total, benta. At yung pinakamatas, for example, anong share ng pinakamatas? Software 6. Yung software 6, it accounted for 29%, rounded off. 29% the total sales. So 28, malaki na ba yan? Malaki na kasi the perfect's 100 eh. Then if you have contributed 28 or 29%, so malaki yan. Samantala yung the list software number 3, the list sold software, it only contributed 4.78 or 5%. So 5% lang yung kanya na-contribute out of 100%. So you may compare 5% versus 100%. So nalalaman yung magnitude ng benta ng isang software for 5%. You will assume maliit lang share ng software 3. Samantalang software 6, yung pinakamataas, it accounted for 29%. That is the beauty of having a percentage column. Hindi lang yung frequency. So that is for the Uni means one, di ba? Univariate table. And the next one is the bivariate. So, bi means two. So, dalawang variable sa ating kino-compare. Isang table. So, ito ay simple illustration. We are comparing yung advertising compared sa benta. Sales forecast versus ads. Ibig sabihin yan, pag ikaw ay gumasta sa advertising, magkano kaya ang magiging benta ng business? So, meron silang relation. So, you plot on the first column yung advertising. Sample, nung month ng January. Sample, first column is January, no? First row is January. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So, January to November, you have the data. Yung advertising mo ng January, 25,500. Yung February, 27,500. 29,500. Hanggang makarating ng November. Sa November, 45,500. What have you noticed? Ang advertising, January to November, tumataas siya. Tinataasan ng may-ari. Now, what is the effect of advertising sa benta? Tataas din ba? So, if you go into plot, January sales, 132,867, 133,347. You will notice ang kanyang behavior, it is also increasing. Pagdating ng November, the total sales now is 142,667. So, what is the conclusion? As you increase the ads expenditure or expenses, the level of sales also increases. So, they have a direct relation. Positive. Pag tumaas yung isa ay pataas din. So, that is useful if you're going to plot yung dalawang variables. So, if you want to know the relation, obviously, yung dalawang variables, they have positive relation. Positive direct relation. So, that is the idea why you are plotting two variables sa isang graph. Okay, so univariate, bivariate, anong tawag natin? The cumulative frequency table. So simple, number of books read in a month. It can be an individual. One individual is reading books per month. 2 books. Siya nagbabasa ng 2 books sa mga estudyante or sa mga employee o sa mga faculty. Sino nagbabasa ng nagkakabasa ng 2 libro sa loob ng isang month? So, isa lang nagtaas sa kamay, 1. Okay, so ang kanyang frequency ay 1. Ang kanyang cumulative frequency ay 1 din, no? Now, second question, sino ang nagbabasa ng 3 libro sa loob ng isang buwan? Nagtaas sa kamay, 3 estudyante, 3 pro, for example. So, the frequency is 3. So, ang ating cumulative, 1, just add 3, 1 plus 3, naging 4. 4 plus 5, naging 9, 9 plus 2, 11, 11 plus 1, naging 12. So, 12 yung frequency. So, if you will add the frequency column, 12 din dapat yan. 1 plus 3, 4, 9 plus 3, 12. So, 12 yung sa dulo ng ating cumulative frequency. So, univariate, bivariate, and the cumulative types of frequency ng ating tinitake. Okay, so hoping that you are getting this one. So, I'm going to change slide. Applications of frequency table sa business. Sa madalas ginagamit. Pag student ka, siyempre, you are using that firstly sa research mo. Research surveys, kasi pag estudyante ka, you have research subjects. Example, sa BA, meron sang research subjects. Sa inyo, meron din, di ba? Sa research and surveys, frequency tables are widely used in research to summarize survey data effectively. So, anong ating sinasummarize? Example, demographic data ng mga respondents. yung mga gender ng mga respondents, the this one, the status. Pag sa demographic profile yan. And sa survey mismo, nagtanong ka, di ba? Example sa pag-IT, no? ang study mo about online selling, the risk of online selling. Tapos, nag-enumerate ka ng mga risk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 na mga risk. Then, tinanong mga respondents, saan dito ang pinaka-common risk sa online selling ng isang business? Then, majority of them have chosen yung number 5 na choice. So, example, ang respondents 100, then 40 respondents have chosen example choice number 5. What is the frequency? 40. And what is the percentage? Of course, 40 divided by 100. So that is 40%. Sa bawat questions, you may have multiple choices. No? Ginagamit. So, pag multiple choice, they will check. So, ano yan? Research frequency, distribution. You present it in a table, then you have the analysis below the table. Kapag business na yan, okay, business totalized frequency, table for market analysis. Example, you're introducing a new product sa market, a digital product sa market, then you're doing feasibility study. Then you want to know ano yung pinaka-common na sagot sa isang product. Highly 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Highly recommendable. Example, ganun, no? Extremely recommendable, highly recommendable, neutral, yung not recommendable at all, no response. Yun yung mga choice na na pwedeng pagpilian ng mga respondents, no? Sa isang actual business survey before introducing a product. Kasi pag sa negosyo, before introducing a product, meron ginagawa market research, no? To know yung market acceptability ng mga respondents sa product bago i-launch. So, important if how do you present yung frequency and analyzing a table. Limitations of frequency tables. Oversimplification of data. Okay. If you can imagine, ang table, meron lang sa 4 na columns. First column, the data. First column, the frequency. Second column, the frequency. Third column, percentage. And fourth column, sometimes, may ranking ka. So what have you seen? You saw the data, tapos mga numbers lang. Example, item number 1, ang pumili, 5. Ang frequency, 2%. So just numbers, no? Limited. You don't know what is behind the numbers pag table lang. Kasi limited ang frequency table, wala siyang kwento. Wala siyang description. As if tabular format lang talaga. You saw the data, you can summarize the data. You can imply, you can conclude na 5% or 2% rank number 5, rank number 2. But that's it, no? You don't have a description, you don't know the reason. So that is why frequency tables are limited. Another limitation, the loss of information. Presenting only frequencies may lead to a loss of detailed information. Data richness can be compromised through excessive simplification. Kasi puro number lang. Diba? As another thing, sa table, pag pinapili ka, ang choices 5 lang. Pero meron kang choice na wala doon eh. So sometimes, the choices are limited. Parang kulang yung variation. For example, you are selling gadgets. Tapos anditong gadget, the enumerated gadgets, like 6 gadgets. Pero yung gadget na pinipili mo, o gusto mong mangyari, gusto mong gadget, wala doon. So, limited ang variation. Walang narrative, walang variation, minsan kulang yung nakalagay doon sa mga choices. So those are the limitations of frequency tables. Okay, so moving this one, constructing frequency table, steps to create a frequency table. So, firstly, identify the range. Paggawa ng table, no? Kasi may mga table na maraming, example sa demographic profile, age. So, minsan, yung groups sa age bracket, 5 lang. So, depending on your respondents. Siyempre, pag respondents mo ay estudyante, college students, so age bracket mo may start with example. College student, anong edad ba? 18. Example, 18 to 23, 24 to 29, gano'n, no? Or 18 to 20, 21 to 23, gano'n, 24 to 25, gano'n mga edad. So, maikli lang yung groupings o range, no? Pagdating sa mga estudyante. Samantalang pag ang response mo naman ay mga customers, digital products customers, kahit bata pa sila, bumibili na silang products mo. So your age range can start with example 14 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, 30 to 34, 35 to 30. So maraming bracket depending on the types of respondents that you have. O pag high school students, di ba? Ang high school students, ang edad yan, alam naman, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 13 to 18 lang edad ng mga high school. So ang bracket mo, kunti lang. Sample, 13 to 14, 15 to 16, 17 to 18. So 6 lang. Yan ang interval niya. Constructing example of frequency table. An example includes a table of test scores and their frequencies. So, ito yung mga sample sa school. Pag sa mga companies naman, sample dito ng frequency, yung kanyang mga length of service sa company. Example, 1 to 3 years, 4 to 6 years, 7 to 9, 10 to 12 years, 13 to 15, 16 and above. Yung mga sample ng frequency table, no? Then applications in real-world scenarios, frequency tables, may apply in survey. Yung sinasabi ko, pag negosyante ka na, you are doing market research, nag-survey ka. Example, customer satisfaction, satisfied ba sa product na binibenta mo, no? Market research or what types of product are they willing to buy, market research. Or are you going to accept yung product namin na-launch? So, market acceptability naman yan. Yung mga application, pwede namang health data analysis. Depende naman sa business mo. If you have a business na clinic or hospital about health data naman, yung tatanong. It depends on the what type of disciplines or industries you are in. Retail, pag sinabing retail, siguro customer satisfaction, tinatanong mo dyan. Pag sinabing manufacturing, siguro product innovation. Itatanong. Pag sinabing service, siguro yung kanilang acceptability or mga service na dapat i-offer. Now, common mistakes to avoid in constructing frequency tables. Common errors include miscalculating the frequency or mali, yung pagkakalagay mo ng interval. Example, sa age bracket lang, very simple. Yung unang bracket, 16 to 20. So that is 5 interval, no? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so 5. No? Pero yung pangalawa mo, 21 to 24. So 4 lang yun, 21, 22, 23, 24. So mali na yung range ng yung interval mo. Right? So hindi pare-pareho. Or minsan sobrang liit yung interval. Example sa age, 16 to 17, dalawa lang. 18 to 19. Di ba? Tapos ang dami niyan, 10. 16 to 17, 18 to 19, 20 to 21, 20 to 23. So napakadami ng choices. Pero yung interval, dalawa lang. So you may increase yung kanyang groupings, di ba? Example, instead of 16 to 17, o mo 16 to 20, 21 to 25, limahan, di ba? para kumonte yung choices. Ayan. Minsan sobrang dami naman, sobrang dami. Or sobrang haba naman yung ano, no? Example, 11 to 20, masyadong mahaba. 21 to 30. Minsan, limahan lang talaga eh. Anyway, may naman tayong computation or formula how are you going to compute the interval. So, moving the slide, the sample, steps to create the frequency table. Pag yung frequency table ay konti lang naman. Example, pagpipilian 5 lang. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, ang pagpipilian, ano lang, yung mga empleyado, 5 lang sila. Or yung mga choices, yung company bago lang eh. So, yung company, ano pa lang siya? 6 years pa lang siya. So, ang choices, konti pa lang. Pag 6 years pa lang siya, huwag ka na mag-interval ng 1 to 3 years, 4 to 6, 2 lang. Yan lang naman yung number of years. So, isa-isahin mo na. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Huwag ka na mag-interval ng 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Isa na yan kasi konti lang naman sila. So 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So you're going to survey your employees. Sino sa inyo ang 2 taon pa lang sa company? So 1 employee. Check. 2 years pa lang ako. 3 employees. Check. 3 years na kami. 5 employees. Check. 4 years na sila. 2 employees. Check. 5. At isang empleyado lang yung pinakamatagal, 6 years. So, walang problema pag kunti lang yung yung value. Yung value 5 lang. So, walang problema sa interval at sa range, no? Lahat sila ilagay mo. Kung choice mo yung 5 lang naman, no? So, those are applicable for few data lang. Data, 3, 2 lang, 5, 4, tapos 6. So, no problem with the range. Okay, the next one, you're going to have to analyze. To analyze the frequency table, interpreting frequencies, analyzing frequency, data reveals trends. So, if analyzing the table, meron kang ranking, So, pag sa nakikita mo yung pinaka madalas nangyayari kasi mayroong ranking. Example, pag nakikita mo doon, ang rank 5, 5. So yung trend na nakikita mo doon. At siyempre ang frequency, you can graph frequency. So you will know the trend. Visual representation later on, we're going to graphically present yung mga frequency. Kasi pag frequency, pag numbers lang, sometimes people like graph, picture or photo. Instead of numbers. So later on, it is better to present the data, the frequency, in a table, graph, histogram. So, mas madalis ang basahin pag naka-graph, for example, histogram, naka-pie graph, naka-donut graph, for example. So, mas madaling basahin yung visual. And conclusion and recap, frequency tables are fundamentals of effective data analysis. Pag ikaw yung manager ng isang company, by just reading the table or the graph, not the narrative, you will have right away a meaningful insights. Madali ang insight, madali ang conclusion, no? Pag pero kang mga frequency table. In key insights from frequency tables, insights drawn include central tendencies. Alin ang pinakamarami? What is the mean? What is the average? What is the mode? What is the median? What are the variation? Yung pinagkaiba. So itong mga data na to, the mean, the median, the mode are important for you guys to plan, to decide strategically for your company. If you are the boss of the company, just looking at the tables, you may decide. You can get insights right away sa mga tables. Example ng pinapakita natin kanina na analysis. Pag table lang kasi, example, ito yung sa if you will recall, sa ating graph kanina, meron tayong graph na relation ng dalawa, ng ads, tapos sales forecast. So ito kasi parang limited. No? You know the numbers, but what is the behavior of the data? Kaya meron tayong graph, the line graph, na pinapakita para mas appreciate natin yung relation ng dalawa. Example, itong kulay orange is the sales of the company. Itong kulay blue ay the advertising expense of the company. So, pareho silang tumataas, di ba? Ito ay kitang-kita natin. Even without the numbers, you will conclude yung behavior relationship ng dalawang variables, the sales and the ads. Kasi kita mo yung ads sa kulay blue, tumataas siya. Tapos yung sales niya, mas mataas sa advertising. That is a normal thing. Yung benta mas mataas sa gastos, siyempre, di ba? Pag yung kulay orange sa ilalim, yun ang pangit. Fortunately, our sales above the lines, no, advertising, and sumasabay siya as the advertising increases, the sales also increases. Although, habang tumatagal, no, yung gap ng dalawa ay nag-narrow down na siya. Pero mas lamang pa rin yung benta. Ibig sabihin, kumikita ka pa rin pag ikaw ay nagbenta, nag-ads. So that is how you decide for the company. That's how you read yung mga graph. So after the frequency, tayo sa definition of class intervals. So what is class interval? Class interval groups data points into specified range. So ito madalas na nakikita, no, sa mga survey. 10 to 15, 16 to 20, 21 to 25, 26 to 30. Yan. Numbers, no? Edad. So, pwede namang sa benta, di ba? 10,000 to 20,000, 30,000 to 40,000, 50,000 to 60,000. Those are the interval. Now, your question is, how do they construct yung interval? Bakit 21 to 25? Bakit 26 to 30? So, you're going to know, you should know how to construct yung interval. Now, the importance in stats, class intervals are they facilitate data organization sa survey. Kasi pangit naman na hindi alam ng mga respondents kung saan check-checkan doon. At di naman natin pwedeng pagsama-samahin lahat ng data. Hindi pwedeng lahat ay 100,000 to 1 million. No? Masyadong malaki yan. Or hindi naman lahat ng edad ay nilagay natin 70 to 50 years old. So parang wala ka ng conclusion dyan. Lahat nag-check. Isa lang chinekan. That is the reason why we are grouping yung mga data through interval. So that is the importance ng interval. Types of class interval. So may open class interval. Pag sinabing open class interval, ito yung interval na walang limit. Sa pinakamababa, walang limit. Yung pinakamataas, wala yung upper limit and lower limit, wala silang the lowest number tapos the upper number, wala silang limit. Kailangan tinawag siyang open. Open class intervals have no upper limit. Accommodating data, ibig sabihin yan, hindi sila nagsaset ng range na 50 to 70 years old. So instead, they are putting in 50 and above. Walang limit yan, di ba? So pag sa 50 and above, kahit anong edad, above 50, pwedeng sumali, pwedeng mag-check. O yung lower limit naman, wala siyang limit na 17 to 21 for example. Nakalagay doon, 17 and below. So that is open class interval. Then the cumulative class interval, cumulative class interval summarized data by accumulating. So ito yung pinakita natin kanina, no, na in-total natin yung frequency, we add to the new frequency. Yan. Pinakita. Anyway, we're going to present again, no, yung cumulative. Okay, this is the cumulative. Okay, so we have the open interval, the cumulative interval, and of course, we have the closed interval. So, that's the opposite of the open interval. Ito yung may limit talaga. So, closed intervals include both the lower and upper limits for data grouping. So, may limit. Example, ang respondents ay dapat 17 ang age lang dapat. So 7 to 20 ang first grouping. So 21 to 24, 25 to 28. Tapos ang pinaka-upper niya, 46 to 50. So ibig sabihin may close. No? Ang mga respondents dapat ay 50 years old lang. Kasi nakalagay sa upper limit is 46 to 50 years old. Wala extension, plus extension. Okay, let's compute how are you going to get the class interval later. So sample muna to ng mga types of class interval. Ito yung open, sample of open class interval. You will notice dito below 20. That is open yung lower limit. Ibig sabihin, ang 19 pwede, 18, 17, 10 years old, 9 pwede. Then sa upper limit naman, 8 and above. So pwedeng 80, pwedeng 100 years old, 90 years old, 99. So wala siyang limit. Kaya tinawag siyang open upper limit. Okay, so extreme. Ito yung sample ng nung cumulative class interval, di ba? Na-compute natin ito kanina. Ang cumulative frequency, 5, tapos yung pangalawang 15, 5, iba din yung 15, naging 20, then 20 plus 30, naging 50. So, ay tinawag siyang cumulative interval. Then we have the closed class interval. So, itong sunod, shortcut ko muna to. Ito yung closed class interval. Kasi dito, ito yung closed class interval, di ba? So we resolve 2 to 6 ang first group, 2 to 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yan? Limahan. So, pag nakabenta ka ng isa, hindi ka kasama dito kasi 2 to 6 lang eh. Tapos ang frequency, 5. Tapos sunod na group, 7 to 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Limahan ulit. So, ang frequency, ang nakabenta ng nabenta sa frequency na yan, nakabenta ng 7 to 11 na software ay 11. Tapos yung pinaka-top grosser, yung nakabenta ng 26 na software, 7. This column is the frequency. And this is the percentage. The importance of percentage, once again, ay para malaman natin yung relation ng isang frequency sa total frequency. Pag ilag mo to, 5 plus 11 plus 15 plus 20, that is 60. So if you want to know the relation of 5 to 60, it is better to use percentage. So 5 divided by 60 is 8%. So sabihin, yung mga nakabenta ng 2 to 6 na limang tao lang, 8% sila ng total. Tapos yung pinakamarami na nakabenta, example, yung nakabenta ng 17 peraso ng software, 22 na tao, 22 na salesman, so 37% sila. So that is the beauty of the percentage na nalalaman natin yung relation ng isang frequency sa total. 22 versus 60, that is 37%. 7 versus 60, that is 12%. And the percentage should always be 100%. Okay? So balikan ko yung isa kanina. No? Creating class interval. The first step in creating class interval, class width should be consistent and based on the data range. So, pag sinabi mong 16 to 20, so that is limahan, di ba? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yung susunod na range, dapat 5 din. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So, limahan. Yung sunod, yung width niya, 5 din. 26 hanggang 30. So, limahan yung width. So, dapat consistent. Okay? And in creating class interval, it is important to know, determine the number of classes that you want. The number of classes should balance detail. Ilang group ba ang gusto mo? The choices na pagpipilian ng mga respondents. 5 groupings ba? Ibig sabihin, yung mga age bracket na, i-group mo sa 5. Or, yung income level ng isang company, ilang group ang gusto mo? 5? 5 ba? So, i-group mo sa 5 lang. So examples of class intervals. Class intervals can be shown through sample data sheets for practical understanding. So I'm going to illustrate yung kanina. No? How are you going to create the frequency table? Sample, meron kang data set. 3 to 5. Ito yung data. Itong pag nag-survey ka, ito yung mga data na nakuha mo. No? So, how are you going to the group? So, the first thing to be done, arrange the data from lowest to highest. So, ang pinakamababa dyan, 2. So, the lower limit is 2. Ang pinakamataas ay 25. So, meron kang 25, yes, 25. So, 2 and 25. Pag sinabi na, pag in-average mo yan, so you will get the average, pwedeng kunin yung average. No? Kung gusto mo makuha yung mode, ang mode dyan, 6, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Di ba ang mode? Ito yung alin ang pinaka-common na nag-occur na numbers. So, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2. Okay? At ano yung median? Ang median yan, 7, 12. I-add mo yung 2. 7 plus 12, that is 19. No? So, 19 divided by 2. Divide mo, 19 divided by 2. So, 19 divided by 2. So, that is 9.5. So, ang median, yung pinakagitna is 9.5. Now, dito, the next step is for you to get the range. Diba sabi natin, ang range is the difference between the highest and the lowest. That is the range. No? The 25 minus 2, that is 23. That is the range. No? Now, divide 23 range by the number of group you want. For example, you want 5 groups. So, 23 divided by 5, that is 4.6. Okay? So, 4.6 or rounded off, para malambutan, round off natin. So, that is 5. So, the interval is 5. Ibig sabihin, yan o, 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, 5 yan. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. Kasi 5 yung ating interval na nakuha dito. Okay? So, yung next group, of course, 7 na. So, 5 ulit. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yung third group, 5 din. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So, lahat din 5. Pagdating sa last group, ganoon din, di ba? 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Tama ba? 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you get the frequency. Di ba? So, sample, frequency na 2 to 6. Ilan ang nakabenta ng 2 piraso hanggang 6 na piraso? O may nagtaas sa kamay. 5 ang nakabenta. So, 8%. Ilan nakabenta ng 26 na software? Aba, 7 ang nakabenta. So, 7. That is good. So, that is how you get the and how you create the interval sa table, sa frequency table. Okay, let's go to the next topic, bar charts and pie charts, importance of visual presentation. Sabi natin kanina, hindi magandang puro kwento, puro narrative, yan nilagay natin sa table. Kapag table naman, parang kulang pa rin. May mga taong they want visual. So there are people who want graph chart. So meron tayong bar charts and pie charts. Dalawa lang. For today, pie chart, histogram. Very important ng visual representation sa business. Effective visualization enhances comprehension and retention complex. Mas madaling i-retain. Mas madaling matanda ng ang graph kesa table. Sa graph kasi nakita ang pinakamarami. So, nararetain sa mind mo yun di ba? Sa pie graph, ganun din, below. Tapos nakita ang kulay blue ang pinakamarami. Nararetain sa yun Pag table kasi, mas mahirap tandaan ang numbers and table. So, overview of chart. Charts represent data visually, aiding in identification of trends and patterns. So, pag may mag-graph na puro lines, so may trend. Pag bar graph, line graph, so may trends yun. So, they provide quick reference points for decision making. So, very quick. Isang tinginan kasi nakita ang picture hindi numbers. Pag sa bar graph, or pie chart. So pag photo, pag picture, pag visual nakikita mo, mas na-retain siya kaysa number. So it is easy for you to decide. If you are the boss of the company, it is easy to decide. Understanding bar charts. Definition and purpose. Bar chart display categorical data using rectangular bars. So tinawag siyang bar chart kasi data represented by rectangle or bars to illustrate difference or similarity or variation sa isang grupo. And it is useful pag yung mga bars ay color-coded. So, mas madali silang tandaan. Diba? Kita mo kasi yung nagko-compare mo yung taas ng dalawang bars, nagko-compare mo yung haba ng dalawang bars. Kaya sa numbers na kino-compare mo. So types of bar chart, common types include vertical. So obviously, patayo yung bars na ginagamit natin. Horizontal, yan naman ay pahalang. Stack, magkakapatong. Yung mga types of bar chart. And key components of a bar chart, main components, merong isang axis. The Y and the X-axis, meron sa mga labels na ginagamit. Of course, the bars are representing the value, the amount, and below the chart, may mga legend dapat. Dapat alam natin, pag color-coded yung bars natin, we should know the legend. Kung what is signified by a particular color. Example, yung kulay green, ano ba yun? Kulay blue, ano ba yun? These elements help us to clarify. So it is vague. Reading bars na walang mga legends. Walang mga references na kung para saan ba yung mga kulay. Alin ba yung y-axis, alin ba yung x-axis. So there should be label to facilitate understanding. Anyway, pag yan ay walang mga ganun, so parang not useful. Yung binabasa natin mga chart. Advantages. This one is an example of a bar chart. So meron siyang x-axis, meron siyang y, meron siyang legend. And we are comparing a dual bar chart to show the eye color of year 7 and year 8 students. Diba? Buti pa sila may ibang kulay, no? May kulay green na color, may kulay blue, may brown. Year 7. Ayan. Sa dalawang grupo of estudyante, mga grade 7 and grade 8 students. Yung mga grade 7, ito yung kulay brown, then kulay purple. Okay, so unahin natin by color, no? Yung mga estudyante may kulay green. Kulay green yung color. Yan. Sa mga year 7 daw, mas maraming may green na color. Sa year 8, mas konti. Galing, no? Ba't kaya ganun ito? Pag sa blue color naman, mas paraya pa rin blue color sa mga grade 7 students. Yan ang tataka sa pag mga brown colors. Pag dahil sa brown colors daw, baliktad na. Ng grade 8 naman, ang mas maraming brown colors. Ano siya? 25 peraso. Diba? So, pag tinakpan mo itong legend, hindi mo alam kung ano yung kulay brown, ano yung kulay purple. So, useful yung mga legend. At dito na maganda, meron yung mga y-axis, di ba? So, alam natin, itong figure na to, example sa green, itong kulay brown na yan. Ilang estudyante yan? O may y-axis, no? Mga mga 23. Mga 23 students. Yung sa grade 8 naman, green, buta mayroon sa y-axis. No? So, mga 11. Mga 11 estudyante. So, that's so important. At important din siyempre yung mga title, di ba? Title lang inyong graph. Kasi pag wala siyang title, hindi siya useful Ano ba yung, tungkol sa ba yung Tungkol sa ba yung graph na yan? Kaya meron dito, ayan. Ang kulay, kasi pag walang title, ano yung kulay green? Damit ba yan? Blue? Green na damit? Blue na damit? But you look at the title, kulay pala ng mata. Ayan. That is important mga title. Okay? The advantage of bar chart is to compare values. So, kita natin dito, di ba, na pag bar chart, easy to compare. Kasi meron siyang kulay. Example, grade 8 and grade 7. Brown, purple, di ba? Tapos nalaman din natin ilang tao, ilang piraso, ilang estudyante. Example, sa blue color, easy to compare values. Kasi meron siyang y-axis. 30. So ito siguro mga 34. Yung kulay brown, di ba? Effective for categorical data, they excel at presenting categorical data, making trends easily recognizable. Sa easily recognizable, kasi yung trend, nakikita natin, just look at the brown. Kita mo agad yung trend dito. Saan tinginan? Alam mo kung anong kulay. Yung pinakamarami, yung brown. Anong kulay naman lumamang? Yung mga grade 8. So dito, kita mo dito, di ba? Sa brown na color, dyan lumamang yung mga grade 8 compared sa mga grade 7. Okay, visual simplicity, bar chart possesses clarity due to their straightforward design. Simplicity enhances viewer engagement. Diba mas engaging pag color, pag picture lang binabasa. Kasi maraming klase estudyante, no? May klase po estudyanteng yung mga linguistic. So, they love paragraph. May mga estudyanteng they love numbers, mga logical. May mga estudyanteng they love visual. So, meron tayong may simplified data no graphical presentation. Okay, so siyempre may disadvantage, no? Pag sinabi nating bar chart. Limitation in detail. Bar chart may oversimplify complex dataset, meeting nuance details. Walang kwento, yan. Walang interpretation ng data. Kasi photo lang siya. Tapos figure, tapos mga bar graphs. Wala sa interpretation. So tingnan mo to, di ba? Nakita mo, sige, yung mga blue color. Pinakamarami, year 7, lamang sila sa green and blue color, lamang yung mga grade 7 sa grade 8. Pero wala siya interpretation. Yan ang kulang. Limitation is hindi dito, wala sa interpretation. Pag ikaw nag-interpret, baka ma-misinterpret mo yung data. Another thing, issues with large dataset. Large datasets can clutter bar chart. Ito, itong problema. Maganda sang tingnan pag kunti lang yung data. Di ba? Pag, yung kasi, choices, 3 lang eh. But if you can imagine, pag maraming choices, example, 10 or 12. 12 na kulay pagpipilian, green, blue, lahat, lagyan natin yan. Black, yellow. You will imagine, clutter. Sabing clutter, masikip na. Masikip na dun sa bar graph. Dikit-dikit na sila. So, pag dikit-dikit, parang mahirap na confusing na to analyze ang bar graph. Pag masyadong dikit-dikit na yung mga bars. Talang dito, maganda kasi 3 lang sila eh. 3 kulay lang eh, no? Pero pag imagine mo, pag yung 10, yung mga bars natin, dikit-dikit na. Kaya ang problem, pag issue, pag mga large dataset, pag sobrang dami na yung ating ipapasok sa bar graph. Okay, after the bar graph, let's go sa exploring pie charts. Example, no? Sample to ng mga estudyante na naglalaro ng iba-ibang mga sports. So you will notice here, no? Football, 25%. So, marami naglalaro ng football. Ang hockey, 5% lang. So, you can conclude right away dito. Most students prefer football. Although meron pang 41%. Pero halo-halo yung 41. May basketball, di ba? May gymnastics siguro dyan, may athletics. Halo-halo na. Pero independent, pag stand-alone, isang sports lang. So nag-stand out yung football. That is 25%. So what is 25%? So bawat 100, na estudyante, 25 piraso sa kanila ang naglalaro ng football. So 1/4 naglalaro ng football. Definition and purpose. Pie chart represent parts of a whole using slices to show proportion. So ito, slice natin. Isang slice ng badminton, 12%. When to use pie charts? Use pie chart for simple comparisons among a few categories. So pag simple yung mga data, tapos kunti lang sila. Example, ano lang to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 lang. 5 lang yung ating kino-compare. So this is easy to use pie chart. So, ibig sabihin yan, pag ang kino-compare mo pala ay like 2015, parang hindi na practical gamitin pie charts. They are effective when defective percentage shares visually. So may percent. If you are going to show percentage, so magandang gamitin yan. Kasi sa bar chart natin kanina, hindi na hinahanap yung percentage, di ba? Wala nakitang percentage sa bar chart kanina. Pero if you want to show percentage, it is better to use pie charts. The key component of the pie chart, components include slices, the labels, meron isang legend. So, meron pa rin isang legend. Kasi pag ito yung buti may pangalan siya, Sometimes walang pangalan yung yung mga walang label minsan. Walang nakalagay na football, 25%, walang nakalagay cricket. Minsan kulay lang. Pag in-imagine mo to, wala siyang pangalan, kulay lang. So, dapat merong legend. Otherwise, pag walang legend, pag walang pangalan, pag walang label, pag walang caption mga to, hindi mo siya ma-appreciate. So, dapat meron siyang legend. Advantage of pie charts. Visual impact of segments. The segment structure creates immediate visual interest and engagement. Kita mo yun, wow, ang pinakamalaki pala yung kulay orange ba yan? Other sports. Ang pinakamaliit pala, hockey, 5%. So pag tinan mo to, hockey 5%. Ay gusto ko hockey. Bakit? Hindi lang naglalaro Di ba? O gusto ko yung football. Bakit? Maraming naglalaro so maraming maging kakilala dyan. Di ba? So the visual impact. It enhances attention towards data representation. Di ba? Isang tingin na, gusto ko ng hockey, kulay blue. Hindi lang sila. And if you also want to know what is the 41%, ano kayang composition ng 41%? Gusto mong malaman, di ba? Yung pala, ang 41% ay basketball, gymnastics, calisthenics, athletics, volleyball. Right? Diba? Track and field. Intuitive understanding of proportion pie chart visually demonstrate how parts relate to a whole. Kaya nga, kita mo dito sa ating sample, di ba? Na kita mo dyan, yung football ay 1/4 ng kabuuan. Okay? Pero yung other sports, it comprise more than 1/2 of the total. So, kita natin proportion. Kahit wala siyang number, kahit wala siyang percentage, imagine mo wala siyang percentage. Ang nakalagay mga pangalan lang, football, cricket, badminton, hockey. Kahit wala siyang percentage, alam mo kagad yung composition ng football O kahit walang 25%, kita mo, 1/4 pala. Yung football ng total, kahit wala siyang percentage. Kasi nakikita mo Di ba na 1/4? Obviously, 1/4 naman tayo kulay orange. So that is intuition, understanding, proportions. Now, disadvantages of pie chart. Difficulty in comparing segments. Comparing similar size segments in pie chart. Ayun. Pag wala siyang number, buti may numbers. Kaya nga, it is important na meron sa numbers, percentage. Tulad yan, may percentage. Kasi pag walang percent, example, yung badminton, walang nakalagay na 12%. Yung hockey, walang nakalagay na 5%. Pagtatanong ka, sino mas malaki? Parang pareho lang sila. Buti na, meron sa 12, meron sa 5 na nakalagay. So, there is one difficulty. Para pag masyadong marami na, parang nalilito ka minsan. Pag sobrang dikit, pag sobrang parehas yung dami, yung percentage. Yung isa ay 17%, yung isa 18%. pag plinat mo yun sa pie graph, halos magkaparehas sila. Diyan papasok yung comparing similar size segments ay confusing, challenging for the person deciding. So pag ganyan nangyari, halos pareho lang sila, parang it might hinder accurate assessment decision making ng isang reader ng pie graph. Another challenge, challenges with many categories. Too many segments can clutter a pie chart. Yan, ideal gamit ang pie chart pag konti lang yung categories. Ito okay yan eh. 5 lang categories, pero pag i-imagine, pag gagamito ang pie graph, na 10 ang categories, mahirap na siyang gamitin. Challenge na yon. Pag 10, gamitin mo bar graph, di ba? Huwag pie chart. Kasi pag masyadong marami kang clutter, masyadong dikit-dikit, so confusing na basahin yung pie charts. So limited categories like 4, 5 categories, enhance clarity. So napakagandang gamitin ng pie chart pag 4 lang o 5 categories para mas effective gamitin. Introduction to histogram. So we have taken bar chart, gamit ng bar chart and gamit ng pie chart sa business decision making. The next one is the histograms. Histogram is a graphical representation of data distribution. Ito naman ay distribution ng data. Hindi individual. Pag yung data masyadong marami at mahirap siyang or hindi sa practical na i-present sa pie or bar graph, histogram yung ating ginagamit. It displays frequency over specified intervals. No? Ito histogram. Assuming yung histogram, gusto mong i-plot yung intensity ng lindol. Di ba, bawat minuto, iba-iba yung kanyang intensity. So, parang dikit-dikit siya. So, pangit siyang gamitin bar graph. Histogram ang ginagamit. No? So, dito sa sample na to, kitang-kita mo, assuming that this one is intensity, kitang-kita mo dito yung hindi to bar graph histogram to eh. This one is not a bar graph. So kitang-kita mo dito intensity, dikit-dikit per minute, per second. Diba? Kita mo pagtaas, pagbaba. Yung intensity for example ng lindol. Yan. Diba? Or if you want to know yung benta ng isang company. Kasi may mga company ang benta tuloy-tuloy eh. No? Every minute may benta. So pangit siyang i-plot per minute. Kasi pag per minute, ang pangit siyang i-present sa bar graph, ang daming bars niya pag per minute. It's practical. Pag per minute, you want to know the per minute sales of the company, histogram ang gamitin mo. Mas ma-appreciate mo sa histogram pag per minute ang gusto mong makita. So tulad na ito. It's important business analysis. Histograms help identify trends and anomalies in business data. They are essential for informed decision making. Anyway, lahat naman ng ating graph ay essential for decision making like the bar, the pie graph, the histogram. Ito essential to, no? Example, ito ay data bawat minuto na benta ng company. So, kita mo dito na siguro mga bandang alas 4 ng hapon. Diyan nag-peak yung benta ng yung company. Kesa kita mo dito sa yung histogram. Okay, mga 4 to 5 siguro. 4 to 4:30 time. Yung pinamalakas bumenta. Analyzing histograms. Interpreting histogram result. Analyzing histogram reveals data distribution, characteristics. This inform business strategies and operational adjustment. O, di ba yung saan natin, yung data kanina, picturean nyo to. Isko natin dito sa kulay blue. Operational adjustment. Sa anong adjustment pwede mong gawin based sa data natin na 4 to 4:30, ang pinakamaraming benta ng iyong business. Saan mong gagawin dyan? Siguro dyan gamihan mo yung salesperson ng ganung oras, 4 to 4:30. Diba? Or bawal umuwi ng 4 to 4:30 kasi yun ang peak hour. Pag ganun sa restaurant, 4 to 4:30, merienda time. Ibig sabihin yan, dapat alert yung mga employees ng company kasi dyan nagdadagsahin tao per minuto. And you have also identified sa ating sample. You will identify the patterns and trends. Nakita natin, di ba, yung pattern dito. Di ba? So, 4 to 4:30, talagang yung benta, kalakasan na yan. Kalakasan. So, ang trend isa lang. Lahat ng minuto ng 4 to 4:30 ay malakas yung benta. And you can forecast that. Based on that, you can forecast. No? Siguro, next day, ganun din yung benta natin. Kasi based sa ating data, ganun ganung oras pinakamarami siya. Applications of histogram in business market research. Yan. Histograms visualize consumer preferences and trends. They aid in identifying target market segments. Sabi ko naman ay nag-market research. Tapos, ang daming tao. Example, sa SM, no? Pumunta ka ng SM. Tapos magtatayo ka ng store sa SM. Important sa yung dami ng tao pumapasok. Right? So, pag ipa-plot mo isa-isa, yung minuto sa SM, ano yan? Masyadong time consuming. Okay? So, nagpa-plot ka, naglilista ka per minuto ng dami ng tao. Di ba? Sobrang dami ng tao. Or SM, or pwede rin sa kanto na, o lapitan lang natin sa kanto na yung ng bahay mo. Magtatayo ka ng fast food doon. Hindi gusto mong malaman yung volume ng tao bawat minuto na dumadaan doon. So, histogram ang gagamitin mo doon. Kasi, per minuto, di mo may clicker. Siyempre, di mo babasa, di mo bibilangin sa isa yung mga tao. May clicker ka. Di yung clicker, yung kiniklik mo lang dyan para bilangin yung mga taong dumadaan. Okay? Tapos, pinaplat mo sa bawat minuto. Di nakita mo, sa minuto, minsan dumadaan, marami, 50. Yung pangalawang minuto, 51. Pangatlong minuto, 40. Pangapat na minuto, naging 60. Di ba? So, ang ginagamit mo dyan, yung histogram. Kasi tuloy-tuloy siya eh. Pag continuous yung data, histogram ginagamit. Yung minuto, tuloy-tuloy siya eh. Sales performance and evaluation. Sales data histograms reveal performance trends and outliers. They provide insight into the rest. Itong kinapeno kaninang you want to know the volume of sales ng buong araw. Minuto per minute. Histogram ang ginagamit mo dyan. Then quality control and improvement. Histograms, of course, you can use histograms result in forecasting, in quality control. Nakita mo, di ba, histogram kanina sa sample natin. Yung oras na, itong pinakamababa, nakita mo to. Anong oras kaya? Siguro alas 11 ito. O alas 10. Di ba? Nakita mo dito, alas 10 ang pinakamababang benta. 10 to 10:05 ang pinakamababang benta ng company. Gamitin mo yung quality control and improvement. Anong problem? Ba't alas 10 ay yung mahina benta natin? O siguro mas sungit yung naka-assign pag alas 10 ng umaga. O di training, di ba? Training, palitan. At kita natin masyadong malaki yung diferensya. So, you should identify the deviation or yung ilan pinagkaiba. Now, challenges in using histograms, data quality issues, or quality data can mislead histogram interpretation. Pag mali yung pagkakabasa, so mali yung decision how to improve in the quality. Misinterpretation of result. Pag hindi ka marunong magbasa ng result, di ba? So, hindi mo rin pwedeng gamitin sa in deciding for the business. So, ito sample ng mga ginagamit natin in creating histogram. Mga tools ginagamit natin, so Stabilo and Google Sheets ay ginagamit natin. May mga dyan, ito yung mga sample ng mga this one is Stabilo. You can create histogram. Pag Google Sheet naman, you can create histogram din. Okay? Sa Excel, Microsoft Excel, you can also create histogram. And comparing software features, analyzing different software features sa Excel. So I want to show, ang Excel kasi pwede rin gamitin kasi di ba sa atin gumagamit ng Microsoft Excel, gumagamit ng Google Sheets. So pakita natin yung paano ginagamit sa Microsoft Excel. So palitan ko yung aking presentation, papalitan ko siya ng Microsoft Excel to show paano ginagamit, paano gagamitin ng Microsoft Excel in creating histogram. Okay, so I'm showing my Microsoft Excel. Okay, so this one. Okay. So, kita na ba siya? Okay, so this one is my Microsoft. Hindi ba, no? I call it share. Okay. Parang kayo mag-share. Okay, parang sharing is. Okay. Example, meron kang data. Ayan, you created data here. Well, example, ito yung nagbebenta mo na software sa loob ng isang minuto. Ang minuto, masyado mabilis. Ano nila? Sa loob ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. Sa loob ng 10 minutes, ito yung benta ng software ng iyong company. Example, first minute, 12. Second minute, 12. Third minute, 44. Hanggang 10th minute, pang 10 minuto, 64 na benta. Pag bar graph, masyadong marami na to kasi parang dikit-dikit na siya. So if you want to know the trend, so i-highlight mo lang yan. Nasa Microsoft Excel ako, highlight mo siya, then punta ka dito sa insert. Punta ka sa statistics, insert statistic chart. Click mo yung histogram. Kaya ba gusto mo ito? Yan, histogram. Okay. So, click mo siya. So, automatic meron ka ng histogram. Okay. So, as I said, hindi siya bar chart. And how do you read? How do you read this one? 12 and 42. So lahat ng naka-12 dito, 12, 1, 2, 12 to 42. Ang lower limit 12, ang upper limit 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yung anim na yon, ito naka-plot na yan. Okay? Tapos yung isa naman, ang lower limit ay 42, tapos ang upper limit ay 72. Okay? So, saan naman sila dito? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, apat lang. So, 6 versus 4. 6, 4. Okay? Okay, ito, kita. Ito, 6 o 6. Itong mataas na yan, 6 sila. Itong mataas na to, 4 sila. So, 60% and 40%. Diba? So, anong basa mo dito? Yung 12 to 42, 6 sila. Okay? Yung 42 to 71, 4 sila. Bakit? Meron kasi dito ang number. So, that is how you create a simple histogram. Diba? Now, pag masyadong marami ito, walang problema. Gawin mo tong 100. Bibigay sila ng data dyan, 100. So, hindi sa bar chart. No? You'll notice, hindi sa bar chart. This one is a histogram. Okay? So, there's an example of histogram using Microsoft Excel. Okay? And I know that one is the last slide for today. So I would like to thank you guys for listening. Maraming salamat. And don't forget to subscribe sa aking munting channel. And once again, this has been Dr. Cortez. Thank you for subscribing. Bye everyone.